Myself, I'm Johnson, and just like Dr. Shabir just mentioned, I graduated here, and so far I'm also studying my PhD program in National Cheng Kung University. I study computer science. So I think today I will share about some of our work. So especially, mostly, I want to talk about some. I want to make it like a story that how we start and some of our project. Although some of projects fail, some of projects success. So I just want to share some of our experience, and I think it's quite interesting about the story. So we are at the MATS. I'm sorry because I just made the slides. Some of the slides still Chinese. I just try to finish translation, but maybe some of the slides still Chinese. But I will try to explain it. So first of all, I want to introduce myself. Just like I mentioned, I currently still studying my PhD in NCKU, especially major in computer science. I'm also graduate here, and currently I'm the managing director from the MATS. Why the company is so called at MATS is because actually it has a story just like Dr. Shabir mentioned. I started my company from Africa country. And by that time, we tried to establish a company, and we're thinking about how should we, because one of our founders is African. So he said, okay, we should come out with companies that say African medical system. And I say, if we say we are African medical system, how are you going to sell to other countries? Because seems like it's very poor. Not good infrastructure, especially for the medical system in Africa. It's not that fashion. So I would say, we are advanced medical system, so that's how it comes at MATS. So 2-3 years ago, I also worked in Burgers Foundation. It's a social welfare foundation. I'm by that time the CIO, and I'm the IT consultant in some of the hospital, just like Pindong Christian Hospital, and they are also one of our funder. We also work very close with this hospital, and maybe 6-7 years ago, I'm also a part-time job in our Ministry of Health, especially for the EMR program, the PMO office. By that time, the technical team leader, and I've also worked in Africa country almost 3 years, I think. By that time, the IT consultant in Look International Norway, and this is just some award, especially in startup competition. We are also one of the first prize and in TIC 100. Some of people might know TIC 100 is a startup competition. So I just want to share the story about how I will start and how I start my work and start this company. And also I will share some of my point of view. Especially for medical informatics in the future. So if we talk about how I start, it's almost 10 kilometers from here to my first country in Malawi. So it almost takes about 24 to 26 hours to Malawi. But actually, next week I fly to Marshall Island. It also take about 24, 26. Include the transfer. Yeah. So I remember when I was a student, I studied a class. I saw a few slides. I was very shocked. It mentioned about some of the issue in developing country. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. In developing country, it mentioned about current status of in developing country. There are almost 4.4 billion people living in developing country, and 3/5 lack of basic sanitation, and almost 1/3 have no access to clean water, and 1/4 without not have adequate housing, and 1/5 have no access to modern health service. So I think this is the reality of in this world. So in Universal Declaration of Human Rights, it mentioned about everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate for the health and well-being of him or herself and her family. include the food, clothing, housing, and medical care, and necessary social service, and everyone has the right to education. So I figured out, my background is an engineer, and I studied mostly, I work with computer, and so suppose maybe I can do something. So I think about maybe I can start from medical care part, maybe we can do something. So when I work in Africa, there is some published from the WHO. It mentioned about the biggest one, diagnosis code, especially in developing country, is Z59.5. The diagnosis code name is extremely poverty, but it's quite shock to me is about why extreme poverty is a disease. So sometimes it's quite difficult to imagine there is another world if you compare with the place that we stay, especially in Taiwan. So I choose to go to Malawi because by that time the Malawi is one of our the good relationship country by that time, before 2008. And I joined the Taiwan Medical Mission team. By that time it's hosted by Pino Christian Hospital. But the story is just the same. Most of our good relation country in 2008, they just say, okay, we are going to break off the diplomatic relationship. So we have to leave. We have to leave. Although we already done a lot of work there, we have a medical mission team there. We built a very fancy medical information system. But I learned something from this big event. Is after we leave almost 1 year, they just send an email from the government, but also from the hospital. They are talking about, can you send your team back? Because we cannot continue the work without running the system. Because so far we built a system in Malawi. We have at least by that time around 5 hospitals. So we have almost 60,000 HIV patients served by the system. So which means if you cannot continue the work, you cannot use the data, you cannot provide continued care. So I noticed something that maybe medical system is one of a good weapon that we can keep good relations with some other country. Although we have some issue about the policy about the. So we start organization, NGO, so-called Look International Norway. Why we use Norway is because our government don't allow us to go back. Actually, they take all the funds back, and we have to find some other funds to go back there. And we have one of the board member from Pino Christian Hospital. Is a Norwegian, so we use the Norway to register this NGO. So we defined to do some field work. Of course, the main work is the health information system to continue the job that we are doing in Malawi. But also we think we should do capacity building because we don't have so much resource that we can base there and continue the work. We should train the local people and do the capacity building. And also we want to start some community programs, especially for some, that's what we focus on, social welfare. So for the HEAS project, this is just some background about Malawi. There's about 13 million people. And we do have, for the HIV issue, because by that time we mostly would do the HIV system, what's so-called the ART system. We know about the HIV just like a chronic disease. So far, you can treat patients based on the ART treatment. It would be, I think the treatment is quite well. Just like you got HIV, you still can live almost 20, 30 years if you can sustain good nutrition and so. So the most important is that how you know the patient's medical history, how you provide continuous care. So we do have few different systems. We have an ART electronic data system, and when we leave, it's about 7 sites, and laboratory system, pharmacy, inventory system. All right. So this is just some picture that I want to show you. First, this is the site that we create for my first system, Rainbow Clinic. So this is just some picture shows that we have guests from CDC. Actually, when we back to Malawi, we didn't get any funds from our government, and mostly our funding resources from US CDC and local government. But now today we got the fund from Bill Gates Foundation, Horizon 2020. So I think now it's quite sustainable for this case. Actually, so far I don't go back to Africa. I mean nowadays because now I'm more focused in Southeast Asia countries. Just like I say, we have a local team there. They are working very well. So this is Ray's system in Rainbow Clinic. And this is the second version, because the first version we use the keyboard, we use mouse. Sometimes it's quite difficult, especially for those staff that they never seen the computer. So think about you just touch something, you know it. So we start use the touch screen and use the fingerprint, because just like I say, especially in developing country, there's no such kind of national ID, or just like in Taiwan, we have national health insurance card. So the biggest issue is that how you identify the patient. So by that time, what we think is, okay, maybe we just use fingerprint. So that's how we start using fingerprint system, even before Apple. So that's how the system works. This is some of the algorithm that we use. And this is the T-Smart system. So why I mentioned about Apple? Because we got a patent referenced by Apple. See here, Apple, US. So I think this is just after 5-6 years, there is some kind of a patent company sent me an email. They say if I willing to, I mean yes, but currently we are a small company. If I need money, maybe. yes. So this is T-Smart in Rimpi District Hospital. And just like I say, mostly we train the local seats, and they will train to other staff. So far in Malawi, our IT team, there are almost 50 to 60 staffs. And now the system is spent to whole national. It's a whole national system, not just in few countries.
What's
so
the population of Malawi?
The population, 13 million.
13?
13.
13.
13.
Okay.
Yes. 1,300,000. 13 million. Yes. Sorry. So mostly we don't do the training. We usually train the seats, and they will expand their skill and train other people. So this is just usage data in Malawi in 2011. Because so far, and I not much go back. So this is the data by that time. And we work with some other NGO, like in Philippines, in UK, to develop system. And start from 2011, we start to host a foreign, we call the SADC. SADC region is around the 15 or 16 country union. Especially we talk about HIV cross-border patient challenge. Because what we know in Africa country, most of the countries connect each other. So it's easy to once the patient cross-border. And if you don't have a good system to trace the patient, sometimes there's a lot of issue once the patient cross-border. And so now, and in this year, we try to work with IOM to use our fingerprint system. But this is a big issue because it's quite difficult to convince all the country use one system. That's usually. So we start this work since from 2009, and by that time only 8 countries. But every year there are 2-3 countries join this forum. But now, and so far, I remember last year is almost 14 countries joined the forum, and everyone discussed about how we do this work together. So I think that's quite interesting. That so far it's a national system. This is the hospital that we implement the system in 2012, but so far it's just like I said, it's a national system. So I want to share you one video clip. It's about 5 minutes because this is one of my we train. One of my students.
Like every passionate software engineer out there, I closely follow technology companies in Silicon Valley. Pretty much the same way soccer fans follow their teams in Europe. I read tech articles on tech blogs and listen to podcasts on my phone. But after I finish the article, lock my phone, and unplug the headphones, I'm back in sub-Saharan Africa, where the landscape is not quite the same. We have long and frequent power outages, low penetration of computers, slow internet connections, and a lot of patients visiting understaffed hospitals. Since the HIV epidemic, hospitals have been struggling to manage regular HIV treatment requests for increasing volumes of patients. For such environments, importing technology systems developed elsewhere has not worked. But in 2006, I joined Baobab Health, a team that uses locally based engineers to develop suitable interventions that are addressing healthcare challenges in Malawi. We designed an electronic health record system that is used by healthcare workers while seeing patients. And in the process, we realized that we not only had to design the software, we had to implement the infrastructure as well. We don't have enough medical staff to comprehensively examine every patient, so we embedded clinical guidelines within the software to guide nurses and clerks who assist with handling some of the workload. Everyone has a birthday, but not everyone knows their birthday. So we wrote algorithms to handle estimated birth dates as complete dates. How do we follow up patients living in slums with no street and house numbers? We used landmarks to approximate their physical addresses. Malawi had no IDs to uniquely identify patients. So we had to implement unique patient IDs to link patient records across clinics. The IDs are printed as barcodes on labels that are stuck on personal health booklets kept by each patient. With this barcoded ID, a simple scan with a barcode reader quickly pulls up the patient's records. No need to rewrite their personal details on paper registers at every visit. And suddenly, queues became shorter. This meant patients, typically mothers with little children on their backs, had to spend less time waiting to be assisted. And if they lose their booklets, their records can still be pulled by searching with their names. Now, the way we pronounce and spell names varies tremendously. We freely mix R's and L's, English and vernacular versions of the names. Even soundex, a standard method for grouping words by how similar they sound, was not good enough. So we had to modify it to help us link and match existing records. Before the iPhone, software engineers developed for personal computers. But from our experience, we knew our power system is not reliable enough for personal computers. So we repurposed touchscreen point-of-sale terminals that are meant for retail shops to become clinical workstations. At the time, we imported internet appliances called eye-openers that were manufactured during the dot-com era by a failed US company. We modified their screens to add touch sensors and their power system to run from rechargeable batteries. When we started, we didn't find a reliable network to transmit data, especially from rural hospitals. So we built our own towers, created a wireless network, and linked clinics in Lilongwe, Malawi's capital. With a team of engineers working within a hospital campus, we observed healthcare workers use the system and iteratively built an information system that is now managing HIV records in all major public hospitals in Malawi. These are hospitals serving over 2,000 HIV patients each clinic. Now, healthcare workers who used to spend days to tally and prepare quarterly reports are producing the same reports within minutes. And healthcare experts from all over the world are now coming to Malawi to learn how we did it. It is inspiring and fun to follow technology trends across the globe, but to make them work in low-resourced environments like public hospitals in sub-Saharan Africa, we have had to become jacks of all trade and build whole systems, including the infrastructure, from the ground up. Thank you.
This is so usually I'm not proud about
usually I'm very proud of our staff, but our not staff is our clique, not my personal work. So this is the one. By that time, we trained 4 staffs. We trained 4 staffs. Mostly they just graduated from junior high school. So we trained them from very beginning. But I think so far they do a very good job. So that's the part for the medical, especially medical system part. But we also do the work for social welfare, just like Chitatata widow group. That's a micro-loan. We teach them how to feed, because what we think is the widow group is mostly their husband is died from HIV, and this is the project for Saved by the Bowl, and we try to teach the kids. Okay, so that's so we think if we do have some ability, if we can article, they will say maybe this is one of the articles say that there is a top 1. I'm not saying we are top 1, but we are not that bad. We are quite nice, especially if we talk about health information system. And if you take a look about the World Health Organization ranking for the World Health Systems, you won't see the Taiwan's name because we are not in WHO. So we are thinking, suppose we can do something. We can share our experience. We can share the service. We can share the technology and bring the world in. Although we are not that big country, we have not much resource. But I believe, actually, we have quite successful story in Taiwan. That's happening now, especially while we talk about health IT. So, for example, for the HIV patient that I learned in Malawi, if you want to treat the patient well, especially you want to reduce the for those infection in the patient, let's say did we control the HIV? There is a chart. Usually we will say, okay, there is a tipping point, which means is that increase the people on ART and also new HIV patient infections. If there is a tipping point, you see that which means it's under the control. So there is still a lot of country not controlled yet. I mean, mostly if we want to say we want to find out this result. First of all, you need to know how many patients you provide for continuous care that need the system. You need to recognize the patient. You need to identify the patient. You need technology. So a lot of things need to be based on the IT. So just like I say, in Taiwan, we do have a lot of good experience, more than 500 hospitals, 20,000 clinics. The health IT in Taiwan is quite highly customized, a very mature industry. I would say there's more than 100 different kind of HIS in Taiwan. Because I think most of people know the story in Taiwan. It started from 1995. Our government launched the National Health Insurance System. So which means all the hospitals forced to join this kind of a single player rule. So which means you need to base on the electronic platform to apply the money back. So that forced most of the health facilities have to join to use electronic system. So the changing scenario for the organization, if you talk about yesterday, mostly what we want to do is only, the quality control and how we incremental improve and how we cost reduction and just use the data. So you see a lot of based on the file system or maybe just some simple log that how we use this data. But nowadays, what we talk about the quality management is a continuously improvement and not just a cost reduction, but also cost management, and not just use the data, but also use some useful information, and not just for the file-based rank on the file level, but also cross department. That's the nowadays what we saw in Taiwan, most of the hospital. But what we talk about is, oh sorry, I'm just looking for my phone. Okay, so what we talk about tomorrow. We talk about nowadays people talking about smart hospital, smart care. That's innovation. That's how we improve the quality of care. So it's a breakthrough for improvement, and it's like a value creation. So not just use information, but also generate some valuable knowledge and cross, not just for department, but cross is a whole network, cross a different organization. So that's my idea. We should come out a team, so-called the ADMATS. So far, we built our office. Sorry, part of it is Chinese, but our office in 85 Tower, the second highest one in south region of Taiwan. And so far, we have at least 18 countries. We have different project sites in Vietnam, in Thailand, in Malawi, in Swaziland, Indonesia, Kyrgyzstan, and Marshall Island. Next week, I will be in Marshall Island. And we are also work with our different government department. And so I'm the, sorry, part of it's Chinese, but I'm the one of the start this company, and we have a few partners, our co-founder, some from the medical background, and some from, especially focus on social welfare. So our company registers like a social welfare and social enterprise. Every year we have at least 10 to 15% profit we'll put into the social welfare. So what we saw, what our team, the main work about our team, usually just like I just mentioned, the world we know or we don't know is like mostly. I read the article from the. It's also published from WHO. Mentioned about there are almost more than 64% in this world the healthcare provider. They don't have much. Health IT. Mostly they use the paper system. That's the key crucial things. So we think there's a very big gap that we can fulfill the needs, especially to the world. So this is one of our project sites, full stack of paper system, difficult to recognize for the document. So which means sometimes I think everyone can imagine that this causes a lot of human mistake, so solve the issue. So what we are doing is, what we are dealing with mostly how we can increase the productivity, which means how we can support our partner to, sometimes we can say, get more profit, serve more patient. For example, just like we have a hospital in Vietnam. So far, before they only can, every month they can only 4 or 5 open heart surgery. So now we implement the system, and also we work with some Taiwanese doctors. Now every month we can do the surgery up to 20-25 cases. This is just one of the cases. Just even in Malawi, before the clinics, for the outpatient clinic, usually the patient have to wait for 5 to 6 hours for the outpatient clinic. But now mostly the average is maybe 3 hours, maybe 2-3 hours. And every day they can serve more than 60 patients. Before it's only 20. So how we can increase productivity? How we can manage the transparent? For example, one of our project sites in Kyrgyzstan is the top 20 corruption country. So the key issue is that, for example, just like when the patient comes, they just say, oh, we out of stock, the medication is out of stock. Because we don't have any system. They don't know, maybe somewhere still have the medication. They just ask you to go to the pharmacy, another pharmacy to get the medication, and they can get some commission from it. So this is just one of the example, how we can use the IT to make some of the things, the transparent. This is just one of the example, and how we can improve the accountability, how we can provide better quality of care. So usually what we are doing is how we collect and manage the huge health data in different levels. I'm not saying that we are doing a very high-tech or high-end one technology, just like AI or anything. We are just like doing the fundamental thing. We are doing a very basic infrastructure, how we can very quick to help you to implement the health IT and start from the very beginning. So in different level, we have a different solution. So far we have three business unit. The first one is a cloud team. We have Open Cloud MHIS project. This is the one I just mentioned. We have, you can imagine it's a web-based system. It's quite easy to implement, especially for those low-resource country. For example, just like you apply for a Facebook account, you choose what kind of module you want to use, then it could easily to generate the system you need. And we do have work with, like this project, work with a Taiwan mobile company for the dementia patient, especially for tracing for those dementia patient. And this is the second BU of our company. Is Smart Health Station. This is also a very interesting project. Maybe later I will show you more. And some of the app, and this is our third BU, what we talk about the medical IoT. Later I will also show you part of this project. So I want to start from the MHIS project. What we call MHIS is mobilized, modification modularized, which means it's web-based cross-platform, easy to customize and modularize. We have more than 62 modules. And it's quite simple to come out the something. If you are only a clinic, maybe you choose 5-6 modules, then you can work. If you are a big hospital, maybe 30, 40 different modules, then you can come out the system. So this is how system looks like. We also provide for fingerprint. The fingerprint solution, the card system that we learned from the experience in Taiwan. This is the card in Malawi. This is some screenshot. Barcode system is quite popular in Taiwan. I think it's quite interesting. And some of the case we also link with the app. Like for example, this app is especially for home care, community care worker. They can collect the symptom, especially for video, image. Recently, we also got a project in Thailand, King Chulalongkorn Memorial Hospital. They use this for record for Parkinson's disease, especially once they took the pill and how some of the video clip, they will took the picture by their family, something like that. And the clinic information system, just like mostly we will see this system in our outpatient clinic through the SOAP, give diagnosis code, treatment, X-ray, and so. And so far, I'm doing my research here, especially a little bit like a machine learning part. Once they type in through the SOAP, we will do the text, some text mining. We use the fuzzy neural network, and we will come out some group. Some symptom group, and it will generate the flexible questionnaire, something like this. This can remind some of the clinician that they can notice to do something. So it's like each step, once you've done this part, we will also, learning from each part, something like that. So for example, in most of our case, for those medical staff, they are not well medical education. Sometimes, and also human resource is not enough. Sometimes in one primary care center, there is only a nurse assistant. So if we can build some system that they can base on some, I'm not saying it's AI because AI is just a kind of a concept. We are just if we can at least help some clinic decision support for the nurse assistant and also combine with a remote consultation, it will quite useful for the case. So you can see in our case, we can also do the online consultation. It's all in the same system. I think this is not difficult image. It's quite popular in Taiwan. I just quick this is part of some of our solution. So that's the part for the MHIS project. And the second BU is the health kiosk. I think this is what we're more focused on what we talk about long-term care. So this is a machine we can test for different kind of blood pressure, blood oximeter. I think it's not difficult to image. And even the EKG or glucose. So it depends on what kind of a device you want to link together. So here have a video. Maybe you can have a look.
健康管理关系到邻里家人。
Oh, it's
Just have a quick look. Maybe you will have some idea what this machine.
这是一台以公共建设为基础。
So we build this machine mostly you put in some public area. So we have a different language. So far we have a Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand language. And you can use different cards. And here you might see that we are not just collect the vital sign, but also we can link with some questionnaires, like a dementia test, depression test. And we also link with the smartphone. Because nowadays we know the smartphone sometimes combined with your wearable devices. So we also want to collect some of the data from wearable devices.
透过站台提供血压、血氧、体温、身高体重等生理量测收集，并与云端系统连接储存。这些持续累积的数据，
All the data will be sent into the cloud immediately. And the doctor can give the feedback. You will see that just show the report. And scan the QR code, you can download the report. Something like that. So we have a lot of cases that they send the message to their family, something like that. And once you go to the hospital, they can read the information. So I mean the difficult part, the different part is that we link with different hospitals. And we put this machine in 7-Eleven. So I want to give you an example that how we work with 7-Eleven, and there is a quite interesting function is inside the machine we have a beacon. And so once you go into the shop, we will know who you are, and maybe you almost 2 weeks didn't take any blood pressure, and we also know you like drink coffee. So then you will receive a message that say, okay, if you do the blood pressure test, your coffee will discount for $5. So something like that will encourage the user to use, and also some promotion with link with the product.
And user has to have some sort of ID card, RFID.
It's based on the smartphone. If you download our smartphone app, because you have a Bluetooth.
But it's what's in the distance, like 6.
It's about 50 meters. 50 meters. So I think you can put this idea in the hospital. Now recently I'm doing some work. I give it a name, what we call the precision care, because mostly we see the care is like you have a lot of poster, you choose something you want, but too many information going on is like a garbage, not much use. So we think if the patient walk into the hospital and we through some analysis to say, okay, it's a female and more than 40 years old, and maybe this lady need maybe haven't tested any cancer, the health checkup. Because in Taiwan we have 4 kind of cancer tests, right? So we can find out what this lady needs, and maybe we can give it some information and try to let the health service engage with the patient.
健康本
This is another video, maybe you just have a quick
我
look.
个人觉得台湾在医管方面是有一定的水准。
别以为这只是一台普通的血压计，其实它是云端医疗系统，而透过上头显示的数据，可直接和医师直接面对面沟通，来了解您的身体状况。而事实上，这台云端医疗系统即将在下半年全台湾至少有100家
Now
医
we
院
put the
都会使用它。
telemedicine in
左
this
手量血
machine.
压，右手测血氧，云端医师透过即时数据，再依照过去量测记录比对，就能判断出民众健康状况。
最近几个月的血压，它量测起来都正常，
对，
但是心跳有。
我个人觉得，
So I think this is just some concept that how we put some technology in one machine, and how we use the telemedicine, how we use some
IoT part. Why I'm saying IoT part is that so far I can go on my system. I can see each machine in every site is online or offline, or how many patients it serves. Past 1 hour serve maybe 10, 20 patients. So all the data is online, is linked together, and we also do some machine learning. Not machine learning, like something like because we know the medical equipment, sometimes the accuracy is quite important. So we will base on the data to do some, once the malfunction or what, we will know, we will have a dashboard. So not just for vital sign collect, but also we can put some idea into such kind of a facility, just like we can pop out the community news, government policy news, questionnaire, like I say, dementia test, depression test, or some of the personal, the history, especially for the mobile care. Okay, so we do have the app, especially we link with the personal app. Personal mobile phone. So the telemedicine. So this is the case, how we put this machine in the 7-Eleven, in some activity center, in gym, in department store, VIP room. So we got the national award last year. This is in one of our village center, and this is the video just show. And we also put these machines, we work with some hospital, and this case is in now a lot of constructor, the house constructor, they will mention about they have because people now talking about smart house, smart care, something. So sometimes they will hire a health secretary, and so we combine with such kind of a business model, and link with the hospital health checkup, gene test, food, or even the health insurance. And I think this is another case I'm quite proud about. This is the first site in MRT station in Thailand. Usually, normal day he can serve about 400 people. In the weekend, he can serve more than 900 people. So this is the case that they queue in for the health kiosk, and here use our telemedicine program to talk with some case manager, not case, maybe some nurse or doctor. This is an event. They now regularly run this kind of service every, I remember 4 times a month, something like that. So now we already have some business chance to get into Thailand market. So this case shows about in King Chulalongkorn King Memorial Hospital. King Chulalongkorn King Memorial Hospital is the top one. public university in Thailand, yeah, and also the hospital. And Bangkok Hospital is the top one, private hospital. These two hospitals we didn't get into the market. So we also link with some private clinic and hospital. So if you see this sign, which means it's a cooperative clinic, they will see your data. But we do have some issue that how we protect the privacy issue. For example, our policy is like the data supposed to belong to myself. So without my authority, this clinic won't see my data, something like that. And even in the future, you can set in like I can back up to my Dropbox. So in case if you want to move to another platform, we are welcome. Yeah, that's your choice. So recently, we also a lot of case, especially for some enterprise case, like in Garmin. I think this is also a new concept that how we provide a company care. Nowadays, a lot of paper talking about the labor issue, right? And now a lot of company, they will say, okay, we're willing to buy one machine and we work with the hospital. So we are also looking for hospital to become our partner to support our company. So we can share the profit. Yeah, we can share the profit with the hospital. So this is the telemedicine how you work chronic disease patient. But even they know they have high blood pressure, they don't have money to buy a blood pressure machine. So we are just thinking, suppose there is something they can use, not maybe in the 7-Eleven, somewhere easy to access, not just for tests for the vital sign, but also very quick to link with the health service. So we try to create a platform between the community and hospital. It's like a platform, not just for the vital sign, but also for different kind of health service. So what we say is like a shared economic. So for example, this example for the shared economic, the shared bike, you scan a barcode. So in the future, if you see this machine, you can also scan barcode, you can log in. Now we are also using the face recognition. You sit, then we just log in. And IoT, that all the machine is no need to someone be there to help. They just, we can based on some technology to do the remote maintenance. And big data, because you link with the hospital and some AI to do the abnormal detection. So this is the current usage. I think it's quite interesting is about this. At the very beginning, we are thinking about maybe for those elder population, they don't like technology. But finally, we find out most of the case is elder population, even more than 40–50%. So, and this is another case. We put the idea into one box. This is a HealthGo box. It's the same idea. So now we have this case, especially in Africa, and come with the mobile phone. This is just how we use mobile phone app to do the work in the community level. I think it's not difficult image. And finally, what I want to show you is the last BU of our company is the medical IoT. I think nowadays people are talking about the IoT mostly in the housing. In house environment, something. But I think in the hospital, suppose something IoT should happen. So we designed the link box. This is the link box. Actually, now we have few projects related to the hemodialysis or different kind of equipment. So it can link with, so far we can link at least 70 to 80 different kind of machine. So I just give you an example about what we talk about the hemodialysis, what we talk about smart hemodialysis. We have 3 parts. First of all, you link with the hemodialysis machine, and we do have the management system that we can provide for the frontline staff, how they're easy to manage the data. And finally, once they generate the digitalized data, we can use the data analysis. I think that's a concept how we use this idea. I just show this picture, and this is the system in Vietnam. Just quick to. So that's how our team, what we are doing. So currently we do come out few different solutions. Some of related to the cloud, some related to the mobile, some related to the big data. So just like I say, we are not trying to create some very high-tech one, but we are trying to create some very basic needs, especially for those developing countries. For example, once you install the EMR, MHIS EMR program, it will come out the basic one core system, patient registration management, appointment, pharmacy, billing, the cashier, outpatient department, human resource inventory, and it will also generate your official website. It will generate the official website. So you will have an online appointment system. So all of the things is linked together. It's like an ecosystem. And even the queuing system, e-learning system, community health center system, telemedicine program, environment control, lab packs. So it's all linked together. So finally, I want to show you a few of our project sites. This is in Malawi. Just like I say, I'm quite, every time I see this picture, I'm quite touched because this is my first project site, especially by the time a lot of issues have to solve. You never imagine that for this kind of the people there, they never seen the computer, and now they can use the computer, use our system, and work very well, and solve their daily problem. In Swaziland, in South Africa, in Vietnam. And this is the case in Vietnam, how we use the link box to combine with a hemodialysis machine. And I want to point out is that sometimes you are not going to say, okay, I want to sell you something. You have to work with them. And also learn from them. I think this is quite important. I think this is the key issue why we can put into the local market. In Indonesia, this is one of the case in Yogyakarta, because I always confuse. Rajanuku is Thailand, another one. Yeah, this is in Yogyakarta. And this is a case last year that we tried to promote in India, but we haven't put it in. We haven't started the work. And this is also a project last year in Clinic Hope. It's a 7-department small hospital. And I think this project is also very interesting. It's in very high mountain. And I remember I go to that project site. We experienced to ride the horse, go up to the mountain, 6 hours down, 6 hours. Yes. And in Vietnam project, and in Thailand. Yeah. So I think this is my team. I think finally, I like this. Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the patents and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world. Yeah, I can see very clear. But I like this sentence. So I think we are trying to do something to see if we can change something. So I think for the value chain of our team, mostly we are trying to provide some IT solution. And another important is that we are trying to do the capacity building. Just like I say, so far in Malawi we don't have any Taiwanese engineer. They maintain the system by themselves, and they come out very good, a very successful story. So we try to based on this good experience to expand to some other country. So that's why mainly I focus in South and East Asia countries. And so most of our partner is like policymaking and some of the staff from the hospital implementer. And the most important is that finally you are trying to benefit for the patient. I think that's the most important thing. And for my company, last year we started to meet with some venture capital. I think we are going to get a round in this middle of year. I think maybe, I don't know, but I think it's maybe it's a good start. We finished our seed fund. Last year we get about 1.5 million US dollar, and this year we are scaled up to around the 60. So far in my team we have around 30 staffs, and this year we will scale up to around the 60 to 70 staffs, and we will open a new office in Thailand. So maybe one day, I don't know, we can have some good. So everything is just uncertain, but you just try to work on it. So I just want to come out some finalize from my point of view, especially for the young people. Although I'm also young people, I mean, first of all is internationalization and the vision. I just do the translation. I mean, because Taiwan is, Taiwan is not a big market. It's small, and a lot of things is quite unique. So although you can learn a lot of good knowledge here, but you have to have a very good international perspective. So like I myself, I usually try to read some article, especially from like a BBC or somewhere like international news. So you will know something happened outside, not just in Taiwan, because you know most of the news in Taiwan is not that useful, just fighting with different party, something like that. So we should get more useful knowledge or news. And you need to train yourself, like you look into the market trend, what's the market in the future. I would say if something have potential is like in Chinese like 过去没有，现在有，未来会更多。这是我个人的一个观点。In English, before not happen, and now maybe you see something happen, and in the future a lot of such kind of things. For example, like a mobile phone. Before, not much mobile phone, but some companies start doing some mobile phone, and in the future you have more. So I think you need to think about what's the market trend. And localization, because if you want like an international team, you have to survive in every place. So I think because my first project in Africa, so I think now I travel in Southeast Asia country, everywhere is paradise. Yeah, so you have to, because sometimes I go with some other team, they will say, oh, why no something. I say, wow, this is paradise. I work in Africa, even I take a shower, there is no hot water. I never try hot water. Even you open the water, the water is dirty. So, a lot of things is not just like in Taiwan. So honestly, I would say I travel a lot of countries. Taiwan actually is very nice. It's very,
I agree.
Yeah, it's really nice place. Although people complain everything, but it's really nice country, honestly. And what's your advantage? So you need to do something you are good with, and start from that, and step by step. Although now you cannot compete with someone else. Even our team, we are still small and difficult to compete with some other big company. But you just step by step and focus on what you are good with, and then persistence. Maybe you can get success. So finally, I will stop here. So if you have any question, I think this is my honor to share some of our teamwork. So we will also like to hear any feedback from you. If you have any question, you can send me your email, or you can also, if you like our interesting story, we have a Facebook. You may also see our Facebook. You can see some news. So Thank you very much. Yes.
Or long-term care. Is there any project related with use of wearable devices and long-term care?
Yeah. I think so far the wearable device is still too fashion to most of the people. So now my team not much more focused on the wearable device, but I think that's the future. That's the future. Once it can develop as simple as convenient.
Okay.
Just for example, we built the wearable device. We built a wearable device especially for dementia patient.
Okay.
And how can you ask a dementia patient remember to charge it for the wristband? So a lot of things we need to think about how we can. Just like I think in this year the narrowband IoT and the narrowband NB-IoT will be some of what will open. Then more and more wearable device will come out. We'll rely on that kind of different. Yeah.
I want to say something. Whenever I heard your talk, I always get touched, very, very much. And I think your passion is coming from your righteous heart, want to share the basic equal and the basic need, as you say. And I think that this not like most of the company who will see the opportunity to get profit, but your service, your sharing, yeah. So thank you so much. So way to go. I think you will.
I'm glad you said that. That so far we register a company, we still need to make profit. So we also talking about some business model. So I think for this point, at the very beginning, we start up from Africa. Most of the projects most of the projects are from the project. So sometimes once the project stops, you have to change. This year maybe a TV project, next year is another project. So it's quite difficult to sustainable. So that's why we come out. You should come out with some business model, and you continue to work on it and make it successful. So that's why we put some of our resources to digging on different BU, and we also share this, make it like a business model, especially in Southeast Asia countries, because now they are rich. So that's why we need to get into that market. But we know still a lot of countries they are poor and not much resource. So we do have some open projects. That's why every year we have at least 10-15% to put into the project, like in Kyrgyzstan, like in some, they are not much rich. So we just try to help them to solve some issue. Yes. I think there's another good business chance is like nowadays, the healthcare system in Taiwan is difficult to, the health service in Taiwan, medical service in Taiwan, it's not easy to make profit because our is like a single player, our national health insurance. So I think there is another opportunities that so far we have different project sites, and we try to engage some of the case of our Taiwanese doctors. Now we are starting to doing this. Now we work with Minsheng, with some other hospital. They have some doctors we work with us, especially go to the project site that with our system and through the telemedicine program and how we provide a service, something like that. For example, now I just back from Cambodia last week. That case is in Cambodia. There is a lot of French hospital, German hospital, Korean hospital, but not much Taiwanese hospital. But the issue is there is a hospital work with us, and because I think there is a very big market, especially for the Chinese. So Taiwan is a very good brand. I think that's one of the kind of essential. Yes.
Have you had any success in America?
Not yet. You mean, did we get into United States? Not yet.
Not yet.
But I think not Not now, because mostly we more focus in Southeast Asia country.
Are you
But
interested?
I don't know, because so far our VP studied in Harvard. Maybe he will do something there. I don't know. But we are still small, so we don't have enough human resource to, yeah.
Not small.
I want to ask a question about that, because you show a picture about a dummy.
Yes.
You put your health system over there. But however, we know that the Garmin was very famous for their wearable device. So I just wondering that why Garmin will have to put there, because their wearable device can check your BP or everything you have in there.
Okay, the story for the Garmin. So far, and we know in Taiwan the policy is like I remember for the factory more than how many
they have
levels they have to have some. Yeah, they have
also
to.
a nurse over there.
Yes.
Also also a professional doctor over there.
Yes. So the case is like before they have to manually, like every day they have to arrange like this. Today is like this group to come and they help them to nurse help them to measurement all the things. But now the story is changed. They just put machine there, and all the staff they just measure by themselves. And we have a system we will automatically generate for those high risk ones. So no more handwriting, no more need to auto. Yeah, they do have a very good wearable devices. That's one we are interested to work with them in the future. Maybe any opportunity. So far, we haven't done any that kind of project related to the wearable devices.
The other problem is about the telemedicine system in Taiwan, because we know that the policy have to set up there some special circumstance, some special set up that you can use the telemedicine. However, we know that in Pindong maybe not fit to the situation. So when we want to do the smart system combined with the telemedicine, the most problem is about the health rule. So
yes.
how do you to solve that because that is not legal.
Yeah, I think that's the issue so far. But you can imagine most of the big business is start from illegal.
Yeah.
Right? YouTube at the very beginning, the copyright issue, right? Facebook, the privacy issue. Even the YouTube, the Uber, they are challenged by a lot of the issues. So I would say most of the big one. You want a big, it's just like gambling. You need to beat something. So that just like from my point of view, the telemedicine is one of the chance in the future because it can solve a few. Of course, it cannot solve all the issues, but it can at least solve maybe some of the case can rely on such kind of technology. Just like I think some of the case, even in China, there is already some business happen. Just like Chunyu Yisheng, Ding Xiangyuan app, such kind of telemedicine.
However, I think that my point is that I think telemedicine is not so your country in Taiwan because that in Taiwan that you are seeking a doctor is very easy and also the fee is very cheap.
Yes.
You know that if you want to build up the telemedicine, you have to a lot of money to that.
Yes. Yeah, so that's why my team mostly don't do much business in Taiwan.
Yeah.
Even in hospital, you know, the hospital, if we talk about hospital system, we are not doing much business there. Because I would say it's very highly mature industry. Even if you develop very high tech, you cannot sell these things to most of the country because they don't have good facility. They are not reached that level. So that's why so far our team more focused on solve some basic problem, especially for digitalized data.
But since the China is getting stronger, they also have the 一带一路 policy. So maybe it's hard to fighting with our country, especially the Japanese company.
Yeah, so I can tell you the truth. Even in Vietnam, we've done a very good job. They're still using our system, but so far they stopped us because that our partner. We have 2 hospitals. It's government hospital. And last year they just announced the news, the 中越公报, something like they start to have some work with, and because it's the relation, stop the work. But I have to say that's the situation that we have, but we still need to face in the challenge and step by step. Once you're strong enough, maybe you can fight with something. I don't know, but you have to do something.
Okay. So if we don't have one more question, then we can do thanks for.